undocumented immigrant from Spain who was brought to the United States when he was 8 years old, and he's now being deported. He's 4 years old and a pastry chef. I considered myself an American, but America didn't consider me one. The United States had been my home since I was 8 years old, and for more than 3 decades, I believed that hard work and perseverance would earn me a place in this country. I was wrong. I had assumed that leaving the States would be a long and arduous decision, in part because my Spanish was assumed to be native, but wasn't. And the only person waiting for me across the Atlantic had been buried underground for too many years. But I decided to go back shortly after my conversation with Chef, when it was clear that the Social Security number I had used for years was no longer valid. By the time the INS letter arrived in the mailbox, my life had been packed in a big black suitcase, my furniture sold or donated to housing works. Walking through the jet bridge, I looked down through a scratched plastic window. 8 or 9 feet above, I was no longer touching the ground. My last steps on American soil had happened without me noticing, unceremoniously. I suddenly felt like running back into the terminal, but instead, I dried my palms on the sides of my jeans and opened the shiny burgundy passport I had picked up at the Spanish consulate, the expiration date ironically coinciding with the ending of my 10-year ban. Flipping through its blank pages, I remember my childhood fascination with flying and the unfulfilled dream of collecting stamps from each and every country. For many years growing up, I took the subway to the Rockaways with my Uncle Chus to watch planes take off from JFK until they became tiny flashing specks that could be easily mistaken for shooting stars. But that fascination disappeared when I learned that people like us did not take planes. People like us took buses for $12 that left from Chinatown. I squeezed into my seat, hoping to leave behind the anxiety that had been haunting me for long restless nights. I tried to distract myself by guessing the nationalities of the passengers slowly trickling in. It was an easy game. The Spanish spoke loudly and many carried enormous Century 21 bags, cramming them into the overhead compartments. I tried to imagine the kind of lives they were going back to and what their country, my country, will be like. For many nights, this moment of departure always started the same way, in the back of a police truck as I'm being driven to a remote detention facility, a temporary jail with a fancy name. The trip happens at night, and because my hands are tied, I can't hold on to anything, my body bouncing freely from side to side. My elbows and shoulders are becoming tender, and despite the lack of light, I know my skin is turning purple. When the doors of the van finally open, I recognize the faces of the correction officers, people with whom I happen to have an argument with, co-workers, neighbors, an angry cab driver that I had given the finger after almost being knocked off my bike. Now looking through the window, I hope this recurring nightmare that had accompanied for so many nights, always prowling when I least suspected, will remain here, in the country that had created it. The flight attendant, speaking in English with a Spanish accent so thick that the words were barely there, announced it was a full flight with no more space available in the overhead compartments. Some passengers standing in the aisles took it as a personal offense and became furious as they made their way towards the front of the plane. I glanced at my watch. It was 7:10. The kitchen will be in full swing. I had spent 20 years living in that inferno, which oftentimes reached over 100 degrees, and where the only resemblance of sunlight was the radiance of a 12-burner range, my best friend a gallon of water to get me through the shift. I closed my eyes and heard machines buzzing with orders, like gnats on a humid summer night. Thank you.